If you're trying to create a new location for your fantasy world, but you're just not able to find that right thing that makes your world stand out, there's no better place to look for some inspiring locations than right here on Earth. There are so many places on our own planet that you wouldn't believe, and many people don't even know that these places exist. Many of these locations look and feel like they're straight out of a fantasy or sci-fi show, so today I'm going to give you 11 real-world locations to help inspire your world building. At number 1, we are starting off with Lake Retba. Now, you might be thinking, what's so cool about a lake? Well, Lake Retba sits right off the western coast of Africa, and I mean right up against it in Senegal. And what makes this place so amazing is the presence of, I'm going to butcher this, Dunaliella salina, a single-celled algae that produces carotenoids. I'm also probably butchering that. But these carotenoids turn the water these incredible hues from orange to pink. It's not pink all year round, mind you, as the rainy season changes the salt levels of the lake that the algae thrives off of, but even just once a year, this changing watercolor is just another way that Earth reminds us just how amazing living here can be, which makes you wonder what a different colored lake or ocean or sands might do for your world building and help it stand out just a little bit more. Now, at number 2, one of the most stunning locations on Earth is the, another butcher here, Zhangjiajie National Forest. This stone forest, as we're going to call it moving forward, is one of the most iconic natural landmarks of China and was created completely naturally by heavy amounts of rain eroding the stone over long periods of time. This is just another great way that illustrates how weather and real-life events can affect the landscape to create some of these incredible locations like I love to talk about in a lot of my map videos. Now, this stone forest is just one of those incredible ecosystems on our own planet that just reminds us how amazing this place is. Up next at number 3 is the Azores. Now, the Azores are these islands in Portugal, specifically the small island of Corvo, which sits on a lake inside of a crater. Now, there was an eruption 430,000 years ago, give or take, that led to the island's volcano collapsing, which formed this crazy awe-inspiring crater. Now, for me personally, I love imagining what a city built around a lake, nestled inside of a hidden crater, would look like. And to top things off, this island also has an extensive history with pirates and storms, which is just awesome and literally feels like something out of a Salt Marshes campaign. Number 4 is a really interesting one, and that's the Hill of Crosses in Lithuania. Now, it started as a show of rebellion against religious oppression, has turned to a landmark of remembrance and a cultural tradition. Now, as of the last count, there were around 100,000 crosses, statues, effigies on top of this hill. Now, most of these crosses have been placed there since the 1830s, many of which were placed there in the dead of night during Soviet occupation in the late 1940s, because they would have been shot if they were caught. So for nearly 2 centuries, people have been coming to this place, bringing their religious symbols and placing them on these hills, and it has now become this really eerie and beautiful place that you just have to see to believe. Now, in the 5th spot is Machu Picchu in Peru. Not only would it be super interesting to build a culture of people currently living high up on the mountains, because it really makes you think about where they would get their food, how they move around, what the buildings look like, but even just seeing these as ruins of a previous culture like we see it today is absolutely fascinating in its own. And what's really cool is that the mornings on Machu Picchu are shrouded in mist because of the river nearby, which is also really stunning. And to top all of that off, the Incans created these raised terraces to help grow their crops on and helped protect against erosion and landslides. And so just imagining what this place looked like at its height is enough to inspire some pretty amazing fantasy locations. Now, number 6 is the dunes. Oh boy. Gonna butcher this one too. The dunes of Lençóis Maranhenses, which is a national park in Brazil. This landscape is pretty crazy because it looks like it could be from another planet. Because during the rainy season, rainwater fills the valleys of the dunes and creates these little tiny freshwater lagoons. Over time, the water evaporates and dries out and the dunes become dunes again. So you have this really dramatic looking landscape at certain times of the year, and at other times of the year, it looks like it's something straight out of Star Wars. Now, if you want to help support the channel and get some fun merch at the same time, head on over to our Etsy. We have our very first ever t-shirt that says Forge on it, and it's got my face on it. Or if you're here for the Displacer Kitten, and I totally get it if you are, we have Tobias stickers, and you can get them in a holographic and regular. And for our Dungeon Masters and World Builders out there, go check out the World Weavers Workbook on Amazon. It's a self-guided question and activity book that guides you in creating a living, breathing world with specific questions on everything from the solar system to local festivals. So don't forget to head on over to our Etsy, our Amazon, or our Patreon page and support the channel. If you're in the financial spot for it, please don't spend money that you don't have. All of that support helps make videos like this one keep rolling out and make all of the dreams that I have for this channel a reality, or at least get a little bit closer to that. And if you can't support the channel financially, I really just appreciate that you're here sitting through this silly ad in the first place. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you to my wonderful community. And now back to the video. Moving on to number 7, you have the black sand beaches of Iceland. Now, the sand here gets their color from volcanoes. The lava cools as it reaches the ocean, and then it hardens into basalt, and the rough Atlantic waves erode the basalt into sand. So not only does this place have this otherworldly look because of the sand, but its legends are also just as awesome, because legends say that the basalt stacks were once trolls that were then turned into stone, and in a fantasy setting, they might as well be. I just think this place looks pretty mysterious, and it would be a great location for some foreign explorers to land on these unknown shores, or even a villain's island. Now, at number 8, we have the salt flats at Salar de Uyuni in Bolivia. These are glistening white salt crystals that stretch across more than 6,000 miles and can be seen from space. And there's something about this flat white landscape that really just inspires me personally as a world builder, because it could be a desolate place where only one city sits in the center as a stopping point for adventurers. Or it could be this ancient battlefield that nobody has come back to. Or it could even just be a different plane of existence, because just look at it. There's so much you could do with this landscape, so actually let me know in the comments down below what you would do with this place. I'm very curious. Now, at number 9, we have the Sea of Stars, or Vadu Island in the Maldives. I mean, just look at this. Now, what causes this is phytoplankton in the seawater here, which actually has the ability to grow a brilliant blue at night. And people say that it looks like the reflection of the stars glowing in the water. I mean, just talk about a stunning fantasy view. Now, at number 10, the Darvaza Gas Crater in Turkmenistan. This is a village in the middle of the Karakum Desert. Now, back in the day, a natural gas field collapsed into a cavern, leaving behind an open crater of poisonous gas. And then in the 1980s, the crater was set on fire to prevent that gas from leaking out, hoping that it would just burn out. And to this day, it actually has not gone out. So there's a giant hole in the middle of the desert that has just continued to burn since the 1980s. It has been called the doorway to hell, but now it is officially called the Shining of Karakum. Now, there's nothing like a burning crater in a village to pique an adventuring party's interest. So think about it. Why is the crater there? What caused it? And why is it still burning? Perhaps something infernal. And finally, at number 11, the Cotra Island in Yemen. This is one of the most isolated locations on the planet, and it's home to one of the most interesting and rarest trees that I've ever seen. Only here, on this specific island, can you find the dragon's blood tree. Yes, that's the real name. This tree looks like it's straight out of the Feywild, and it gets its name from the dark red resin that the tree releases, which is called, you guessed it, dragon's blood. Now, I hope these 11 locations helped get some gears turning for you. Let me know in the comments down below what places I missed, because I'm sure there are some. Let's help inspire our fellow world builders in the comments down below. And now it's time for our shoutouts. Frushmint says, hey kitty kitty, good catch. Gray Seer Squeak says Tobias at 140. You found him. And someone with some name says, this is Tobias. Now, normally I would say leave a timestamp in the comments down below with where you saw Tobias, but I haven't seen him. Well, as always, thank you so much for watching. Forge on, my friends, and we'll see you next time, adventurers. Has anyone seen Tobias?